everyone, today we have a 1996 Acura Integra, and this car has rusted out brake lines, such as these 5 lines sitting here. Out of these 5, there's a fuel line, there's a evap line, and then there's a fuel return line, I believe. But these 2 right here, out of these 5, these 2 right here are the brake lines. And brake lines are very rusted. If you can see from inside, it runs all along, and the one on the right side is super rusted. So what we're gonna do is, if you have an older car, it could be a Toyota Corolla, Camry, a lot of these cars are known for this cover, and this one has a lot of vents, but like a lot of Toyotas, they're like solid, and a lot of debris, water, salt goes in there, and they get super rusted, and these lines bust. So this customer didn't want to get to the point where the lines bust, and I told him to get the fuel line. But today we're going to be working on how to replace the 2 brake lines in there. Alright, so what we're going to do is, we're going to cut both of these lines from here. We're going to run these lines from all the way back there to all the way up here. This is where the clean area is. So the line is rusted in between, and we're going to use compression fittings. I'm going to show you those and the brake lines. Alright, so we have the brake line here. They're very long lines, and we have 4 of these compression fittings. This is a compression fitting. This is the same size as the line, and that's the part number. And what we're gonna do is, we're gonna cut the lines in the car, and then we're gonna measure out these lines. We're gonna cut these lines with the tool, the line cutter, and then we're gonna use these to adapt it, and after that we're gonna bleed the brake system. Okay, so what I did so far is I removed this big cover, plastic cover, which was all over the lines. So what we're gonna do next is, these are the 2 lines to the right. You see these lines, they travel all the way down there, but they're nice and clean over that end. So we're gonna tap these wires from back there somewhere, and we're gonna run them from back there to where they're covered. So if you remove this plastic coating over it, this line should be nice and clean underneath. So what I'm gonna do is, I am gonna splice both of these with a cutter, and I'm gonna pinch it so the brake fluid doesn't leak too much. And then I'm gonna bring these lines down, and then I'm gonna use a line cutter to cut both of these lines. I'm gonna do 1 by 1 because I don't want to mix up the right line with the left line. So what I want to do is, I'm gonna do the line that's all the way to the right first, and then I'm gonna do the one next to it after. Alright, so I'm not gonna pinch the line like I said, because I am able to get a lot of access in between here. So I have this little tool here. This is a brake line cutter. This is the smallest one I got. So I put that on. All I do is I twist it. It has like a little blade in between, which cuts the line little by little, doesn't damage anything. So every turn you twist a little bit, you get 1 turn, then you twist to squeeze it a little bit more. The blade right in the middle is like a pizza cutter blade. Every turn you're gonna squeeze it a little bit, and eventually it's gonna go right through the line without pinching the hole in the center. So I can see brake fluid coming out already. So that's how we cut the lines, and I'm gonna do this for all 4. Once I have all 4 out, I'm gonna bring my camera back, and I'm gonna show you how to put the fittings on at the end. Alright, so guys, I'm gonna continue here. I might not be able to catch all this on the camera, so let me just try to get this line off. It's gonna start dripping. That's okay, we're gonna let it drip. Alright guys, so I have the line out, And I cut out a new line. It's about the same size. All it needs is a little curve at the end. I just want to show you before I put the fitting on. This is the compression fitting right here. And yeah, this job is difficult to record on the camera. So this fitting has a little, it has this piece here that goes on this. You have to clean here a little bit with the sandpaper, which I did already. And then this goes on next. Sometimes this doesn't want to go on because you have to clean it here. So if you don't clean it, it might not fit. So you put this fitting on and you twist it on. What's gonna happen is this little marble in the middle is gonna squeeze and grab the line, and this works so very, very good. I like to push this end against the line so it catches, and then you just twist it. And I'm gonna go get a couple of wrenches. I'm gonna show you how to tighten this. So what you need is, you need a 3x8 that goes in the center. Make sure you push down on it, and you take number 11 wrench and you just tighten it. As soon as you do first half turn, it's already gripping. And you continue doing that, just like that. Some people, they just go crazy. You don't need to go crazy with this job, and it won't. It's already holding. That's more than enough. You could do like about 2, 3, whatever you think is best amount of turns. So I think this is nice and tight. I don't want to go crazy because it will crack. This compression fitting, because I used to do a lot, and if you do it too much, it will crack. So we're gonna go over to the car now. We'll do the same thing. All right, so over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this fitting just like so. I'm gonna push it in there, and after that, the little marble looking piece goes in. I'm gonna go get a rag because I don't want to have too much fluid on my hand. Well, I got a rag right here. So next, you take this, you push it in, you yank it in, because you want this to go and catch to the other end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come out a little bit. I'm gonna look at it. So it's about almost like a 1/4 inch in. So the fitting is far as possible. So this line is up to this little screw in the middle. And then what you do is simply you take the number 11, you turn this, and once you have a couple of threads in, I like to hit in the back so it can grab the threads, because it hasn't grabbed yet even though I'm turning. So let me work on it by hand, because this thing has not grabbed on yet. There you go. Now it's grabbing the threads already, and I'm gonna make a few turns till I feel a little bit of stiffness in it. And now I can no longer hold it back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the 3/8, try to push the line so it doesn't push itself out. And I already feel a tightness in there. So all it's gonna do is it's gonna bend the letter of the flare letter looking marble inside, and that's how it grabs it. Make sure if you're doing this job, you know what you're doing. You have done this before, and you do have to bleed and pressure test everything afterwards. Pressure test means you pump the brake very hard several times, and pay attention, clean down here, look down here, so there's nothing leaking, because that's the whole point we're doing, so the brakes doesn't leak, you know, so the customer doesn't feel safe with these lines. So I'm gonna make sure the back end is tight. There you go. I think both are tight, nice and tight, just the way I want them. So I'm gonna leave this job here. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the back end. All right guys, as you can see, we're in the back now and the fluid is coming out already. So what we're gonna do in the back is we're gonna put our compression fitting just like we did in the front. So the way this works is same way. We take the screw on, we take the little marble looking piece, we put that on, and then we take our rest of the flare kit and we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna tighten this. Alright, so number 11, 3x8. Make sure you push the fitting in. Like so. Brake fluid job is always messy, so it's okay. I'm by myself. If you have help, you can have one person hold the camera while you do the recording. So once you have a few grips, you can stop there. Show you a little trick, because if we keep going, it's gonna keep dripping. So the trick is we take our fitting apart for the other end. We're gonna put this in there. You stick your little end in there. Don't forget this little marble, because without this little, it will not work. So you take that, you put that in there. Next, you take your line. Make sure it goes in there. I like to push it in there, and after that, I like to take it out again. The reason is, like, this one's gripping already. What the hell? Come on, don't do that to me. I just want to see it's in there, so I have enough room in there. So you gently take this and you turn this, and the trick was it's gonna hold itself and the fluid's gonna minimize or just stop completely. After that, you take your number 3/8, you put in the middle, make sure the lines are pushed towards each other. You take the number 11 and you start tightening the screw. You have to make sure you line the threads. Sometimes it can be difficult. This thing is giving me trouble. It's not aligning the way I want it to. So I'm gonna just give it. Alright, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work off the camera a little bit. Once this job is complete, I'll come back and show you guys, because it's getting messy and I don't want to get brake fluid on the camera, especially. Let me see if I can catch it by hand now. Once you have one or two threads, then you can just continue tightening it. I think I got one thread or half a thread. Yeah, I got some in there. Alright, so see the fluid stop? So I yanked at the line a little bit from the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tighten both of these because I know this one's still loose. All I did was just grab it a little bit. I'm gonna tell you guys to use number 12 or a little bigger size because this is a perfect size on it. And it's not letting go once you push it. It's giving me difficult. Plus with the brake fluid, you're gonna have difficulty. All right, I think that one's nice and tight. And now I'm gonna get to the one in the back. Alright, so one turn. I had a few already. I'm gonna do 1.5 more turn and that's it. After that, I'll do the other line off the camera. And then once the other line is done, I'll show you the job that's completed. And we'll pump the brake, check for leaks, and we'll put it back together. And that's it. So we have both of the lines connected and there's a lot of fluid all over. And these lines, like I said, we're gonna replace both of them. And you see I got 2 fittings here. I did a little bit further from one another so they don't disturb each other. In the back, I had no option but to put them together because that was the only good area right there. So what I'm gonna do is, always like to take some of this brake cleaner here. I like to use this to clean off. Same thing I will do over there, which let me get my light on the opposite end. We'll take the brake cleaner. We'll spray them down. We'll let it sit for a little while like that. And then once this is clean, we're gonna take off both tires and we'll bleed this. You do have to bleed the system once it's done. And then after that, I'll let my assistant finish out the job by putting that cover on. And before we put the cover on, we are gonna bleed and remove all these containers from underneath the car. We'll bring it down, we'll bleed the system. And while we're bleeding, we'll check if there's any leakage here or there. There shouldn't be any leakages. I never had issues. So if you're doing this job, make sure you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't have experience in this, make sure you take it to a good mechanic. And the reason is because this is can cause an accident if something fails. So you do want to do it properly, and you do want to take your time to do this, and you do want to double check everything. And that's it. That's how you change the brake lines on older cars. It could be Acura, Honda, by using these compression fittings.